actually, of all of the pieces, this is the first of the ones that we spoke about in the sense of the epoxy. So this kind of started that trend. And for me, um, so all of this was sourced from the prison. This was a thing. So this cedar tree that all of the wood in the middle, fell down, and then we had to go out there and cut it up, and then years later, it was able to be used, and then it hadn't been properly stored, so there was a lot of beauty that was presented into it through that process of you know improper storage or whatever, which I love. I think it's cool, and this was where I kind of started to really see how beautiful that wood grain could be. Um, So I wanted to create a small duality within this piece of the refined peace sound that I sanded and cut these pieces. And I actually damn near cut my finger off cutting them pieces. Yeah, man, I was cutting on a scroll saw to cut it, and I made a mistake. And it's an old. There was a dude who was here back in the '80s. This scroll saw had been around since then because he claims so. So he looks on the back and he's like, "Man, I fixed this part because it was broken," and then they put a brace on it and fixed it. So he was like, "Man, this been here for forever." So I'm using it, and what it does is it'll just skip randomly, and it jumps off the counter. Like these are the tools that we're using. Like we
Right.
don't have state of the art anything. Like there's a lot of dust in the air a lot of the time, and then there's often 3 or 4 people within that room of a
Yeah.
small library. So, uh, and it was something me and my boy were talking about. We were just kind of communicating about how we're so innovative when it comes down to ways to do destructive things, when it comes down to the atom bomb, and then Lord knows what else. And,
Yeah.
biological warfare. And there's so many ways to create and innovate within the industry of war and violence,
Mm-hmm.
guns, bullets, whatever. And we do very little in our ways of innovating the way that we deal with each other, uh, the way that our social systems are set up, our social norms in society, how we look at each other, how we value each other. So I was like, I'm gonna make a piece like that, and I'm gonna make it very raw, almost like it was coming from our ancestors, reminding us, like, get your shit together. So the idea was to use what I had around me, and this really started this trend of creating pieces that were, you know, uh, preserved in this kind of like man-made medium, and then taking older or more dilapidated things and giving them new meaning. It's kind of like recyclism, where you're able to recycle old things that would possibly be thrown away or discarded into the ocean or wherever. Well, fortunately, with wood, it would be broken down back into the earth, but holding those things in place, letting you do that for a longer period of time, so being able to be innovative in the realm of peace and understanding is extremely important. Like I think at a young age, I set in my mind that I wanted to change the world, and I'm an Aquarius, and I'm somebody who's very forward thinking and wanting to manifest higher realities. And I think at 10 years old, I was really, and this was something that never left my mind though. I never told people this because I was afraid of how it would be interpreted. I was like, if I say that, then I sound like this vague general kind of person. It's like I want to change the world. But I'm not that type of person. If I say I want to do it, then it's getting done.
Tre Spadoni's Extraordinary Mistakes is now on view at Sonny House Fine Art through October 30th. We are open by appointment only Monday through Thursdays, and we have open gallery on Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m. and Saturdays from 1 to 5. His works can also be purchased on our website at sonnyhousefineart.com.